Your Pittsburgh Steelers are now 3-0 on the season. Not sure who was more supercharged this afternoon. Was it Justin Fields or that Pittsburgh Steelers second half defense? Either way, the Steelers knock out the Chargers 20-10 at Acrisure Stadium this afternoon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Steeler Postgame Show brought to you by Shenderovich and Fishman. I am Ed Troop, your host, alongside Brian Carruthers. Glad you could join us here on Oneberg on our Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel, or maybe you're listening back on Spotify. And Brian, a good afternoon if you're a Steeler fan. A little shaky at the beginning, but the black and gold settle in and they come out with a big 20-10 win, and they are undefeated on the season. 3 wins, 0 losses.
Hard to complain, man. You know, it's funny. I was thinking while I was watching the first half that except for some positive PR, this is like the same crappy Matt Canada type experience that we had. It's just that Arthur Smith gets a pass right now, and so does Justin Fields. But I take it all back what I was thinking, because that second half, they turned it on. And, you know, hey, like Tomlin says, we need 60 minutes. Like we sang about back in the 90s, there were the 60-minute men. We need 60 minutes. But if anything came out of this, I know you're excited about 3-0. I think this pretty much sums up or cleans up that Justin Fields is going to hold on to this position now until he totally bottoms out, if he does.
Yeah, you can't see the Steelers going to Russell Wilson unless Fields, as you said, just completely, self-destructs and starts throwing interceptions and just becomes inadequate at the quarterback position. 3-0 start today, definitely his strongest of the 3 games as well. 25 of 32, 245 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That interception thrown into coverage was really his only bad pass of the day. He made some moves with his legs as well. Ends up with 6 yards on the ground. But the important part about that stat is one of them was a rushing touchdown to give them their first touchdown of the game to tie the game at 7 in the first quarter. Justin Fields, very effective at the quarterback position today. Again, 245 yards passing. When was the last time the Steelers had a pass?
That number scared me there for a second. I wasn't ready for you to pull that one out. 245 yards passing. I mean, that hasn't happened since a Ben Roethlisberger game, has it?
That's what I just said. I know that Mason Rudolph last season, he might have got close a couple times, maybe over 200, 225. But Justin Fields, a very effective game here today. And I really thought the turning point was that second half starting opening drive. 3rd and long conversions several times on that drive. Yes, they have to settle for a field goal to tie the game at 10-10, but that start to the second half was key, I thought, for the Steelers.
Well, I mean, look who we're playing, right? These are things that we get benefits of. We get some breaks. So if we're playing a high-powered offense like Kansas City, if we're playing a high-powered offense like Buffalo, we lose this game in a really bad way. But with the Chargers, they have very little offense, and they lost even more when Herbert went out. We can win these games with field goals. We can beat Atlanta with field goals. We can beat whatever jabronis we beat last week with field goals, and we'll beat them with field goals here. It's just a complete game. Now, I still think that we're going to be put up to the test again when we play better offenses. But for this week, let's keep rolling, man. Let's keep rolling. That's okay. 3-0, and you mentioned some interceptions, but Fields had one. Didn't Roethlisberger average 14 a game, and we still won and we did well? So it's just part of the game. That is okay.
Steelers defense today, definitely the big highlight, if you will, during the first half. And, of course, the second half really slamming the door shut. But how about this stat? They hold J.K. Dobbins today, 15 carries for 44 yards, only a 2.9 average. Dobbins came in through the first 2 weeks of the season as the leading rusher in the NFL, one of the leading rushing teams in the NFL. As a team, they only had 61 yards total rushing. The Steelers, through the first 3 games of the season, have averaged under 70 yards per game given up rushing.
I don't know what you want me to say. Chargers suck, right? Now, the Chargers are a lot like the Steelers last year. We were like, oh, we have a great defense. We have a great running back, but we're missing that key. So I don't know. When your quarterback goes out and you have to rely on a backup, nothing's going to work. So it's a frustrating day for Chargers and their fans. We've been there. We're still kind of there. But for the most part, we won because Herbert went out. It just takes your whole offense out of the game, especially when nothing good's coming from that backup.
Let's talk offensive line today, too. Going in, of course, Fonatanu out as the Steelers' first-round pick. Salomalu practiced this week. Isaac Salomalu, he was maybe going to start, but he was a scratch today. He did not go in. Broderick Jones, again, struggling on those first couple drives, man. He missed some key blocks that got running plays blown up. Broderick Jones then settled down. Didn't really hear Jones the rest of the game from any standpoint. And as I said last week, anytime you're an offensive lineman and your name's not being called, that is a good thing because you're not getting called for a hold and you're not standing up for missing a block. So Jones kind of settled into place. And how about this? Mason McCormick. There's probably a name you don't know, right?
Who the hell is Mason McCormick?
I'm going to tell you, Mason McCormick. He was a late round draft pick by the Steelers this year as an offensive lineman, a guy they really like to possibly bring in at center. Of course, they got Frazier. He's been dynamic at center. But McCormick, they kept him on the roster because he had a strong camp. And today he rotated with Anderson, another name you probably didn't hear, who started at the other guard position. But Mason McCormick had a fantastic game on the offensive line. So think about that, my friend. Frazier, a rookie. McCormick, a rookie. Fonatanu, a rookie. He's out. Broderick Jones in his second year, if he can get things together. All of a sudden, the Steelers' offensive line is young and so far effective.
Well, Tony Romo, who I do think got like a bum rap in the last 2 years, right? He came out dynamic and everyone was loving him. And then you start reading these things that like Jim Nantz hates him and he doesn't prep. And I don't know. I think Romo still calls a decent game. He made a great point on a Justin Fields QB sneak in I think the third quarter where he said there was no way he was doing that in Chicago last year. And so this is a great fit for Fields. These young guys are athletic. They're learning. I mean, I wouldn't know their names if you plastered them on the hillside of Mount Washington, but that's okay. It's not important. What's important is we won this game. We opened it up and Fields had time to actually pass. So that's an A+, right? That's something Pickett couldn't do. And, Rudolph aside or Trubisky aside, Kenny Pickett was always our guy, right? So, he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, the Steelers' running game got their flow in the second half as well. In the first half, 14 yards total rushing. That was a season low for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first half. But in the second half, they turned it on for the game. They finished with 114 yards rushing, 70 of those coming from Najee Harris. Cordell Patterson, the free agent pickup from Atlanta. He was effective, 4 carries for 33 yards, most of that coming late in the game when they were trying to, basically run out the clock late in the game. But 114 yards when they started out with only 14 yards rushing in the first half. Again, that offensive line kind of got into place. And how about this stat, my friend, too? We got to talk about the penalties in this game. We talked about the last couple of weeks, the Steelers highly penalized for those first 2 games of the season, something that they had to clean up, and they did so today. They end up with 3 penalties today from 15 yards. And the key there is Mike Tomlin brought in game officials this week to practice on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and had worked with those officials, which NFL teams can do during a practice week, and have them point things out to clean that up. 3 penalties, 15 yards today for the Steelers, another key ingredient in this victory.
Hey, can I show you the Oneburg billboard that just went up?
Please.
All right, it just went live on the Parkway West. We partnered with our buddies, the Gateway Clipper, and I'm just having a moment of realization of problems here, but we went with the Dorothy slippers that are gold and black. There's no place like home. I don't know if you can see that or not. Nope, there's no place like home, Ed. We'll take it. You like that? Well, there's no place like home. We won at home.
I do like that. I think it's good. I think it's the Wicked Witch of the West could be Jim Harbaugh.
Here's the problem I just realized. So we've had 3 games, and our good friends at the Gateway Clipper are so cool and so fun, and they want to bring you down, Ed. They want you to blow the horn. I know.
True? Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
No, it's not. I'm in. Yeah. Just sign me up.
They want you to blow that horn. Here's the problem, though. 2 out of 3 of our billboards with the Clipper now are about the Wizard of Oz. I just realized that no one picked up on this on Team Oneburg nor Team Gateway Clipper, but we're a little Wizard of Oz heavy right now. We're like the Steelers. We're a little heavy on defense, not as much of offense.
That makes sense because then you play the Calgary Lion and Montour High School back during your high school days 30-some years ago.
I did. And, it's funny that you said that. As those words are coming out of my mouth, maybe we just go with a whole season theme. Maybe every board is about the Wizard of Oz. Like, boy, the Gateway Clipper and Oneburg, they really love the Wizard of Oz.
It could. Hey, let's get to some comments here on Oneburg. Make sure you comment. Let us know what you think about the Steelers' 20-10 victory against the Chargers. Our good friend Mike Cowden checks in. Ed Troop seems to know a lot more than this Brian Carruthers guy. There you go, Mike. Well, here's my secret recipe. While Brian eats his Sun Chips and drinks his Mountain Dew during the game, I actually take notes as a professional. There's my notes from the game. As the game goes on, I take notes so I can come here on the post-game show. So there he is. Did you enjoy your Sun Chips and Mountain Dew today, my friend?
Well, first of all, I don't drink Mountain Dew. That's for Appalachian hillbillies, people who drink Mountain Dew. I have, and I'm not endorsed. So please, Kirkland and Costco, please know this is a free plug, #free plug, sparkling water. It's as simple as that, my friend. Hold on, let me turn this is mirrored. It's sparkling water. It's a free plug. And there's no ad wizards at Costco, right? They're like, what do we call the sparkling water? They go, well, what if we just call it sparkling?
That's it. Just go with that.
But Mountain Dew is so offensive. I know that I'm a little, I'm not looking my best right now. But Mountain Dew, that's for hillbillies. That's what hillbillies pour in their baby bottles.
I was going to say Diet Mountain Dew, but I apologize. So Steelers 20-10 victory today. Also, the other thing that stood out was Joey Bosa goes out for the Chargers in the first half, too. That definitely helped the Steelers' offense. Bosa's a T.J. Watt. He is the T.J. Watt for the L.A. Chargers. So when Bosa goes out, that certainly helped him. You mentioned her.
And so let's add that all together. I know you have a lot of notes, but think about that. That's us losing Justin Fields and T.J. Watt in the same game. I mean, if you're a Chargers fan, and there's very few of them, I know, what a horrible time to leave the East Coast, down a quarterback and down your best defensive player. It's got to put into question. I know that everybody loves Harbaugh's and he sits on this big crown and the brothers and all the dad I can't stand and the mom. I don't want to get into Harbaugh's. But he kept them on the East Coast this week, and I'm sure their life was fine living out of a hotel wherever they decided to be. But why not let these guys go home? I thought it was like a very collegiate idea from Harbaugh, and I think he'll find again, because he's been in the league before, I don't like that. No one likes that. Let Herbert go home and sit in his mansion. He's not playing for Michigan. He's not 17 years old. Let these guys go home. And I think Harbaugh will learn that. But I think you'll start to hear these rumblings of why did things kind of miss? And it's like, well, I didn't get to see my dog. I didn't get to see my wife. And I had to live in Charlotte this week. Now, I don't think that works. I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the old school thinking of, coming over to the West or East Coast at certain times to get an advantage in a football game, that's an old school way of thinking. In today's NFL 2024, I agree with you. I don't think it matters. It's also the old adage, too, where a warm weather team would go play in a cold atmosphere. That also never worked either.
Get real, right? Get real. Now, what's Brian Davis saying? He's saying hola. I thought that maybe he was Latino, but he's not. Now he's writing all English. Hola. Oh, it's this guy again. This is the guy from last week who's on the banks of the Ohio River.
Yeah, Brian Davis checks in and says that fourth quarter was exciting. 0 yards allowed. Yeah, it was second half total yards in this football game. 211 for the Steelers, the -5 for the Chargers at one point late in this game here today. That's a huge statistic, man. When the Steelers can shut down an offense entirely and give them negative yards for an entire half, 2 quarters, that's big stuff, and that's another key ingredient to a big win here today.
Well, look at it this way, right? We knew Herbert this week was coming in with an injury, right? So we don't know if Russell Wilson's any good anymore. We're not, the jury's out. I would also still say on Justin Fields, I'm not ready to put the gold jacket on him by any means, right? He's no Mason Rudolph. He's no first ballot Hall of Famer. That's a joke. But, Herbert was injured coming in. This was the same situation the Steelers would have been in. And by playing our backup, we tried. I mean, thankfully, this is an Omar Khan win. If you're going to put it on one guy, put it on the bald beauty. Omar Khan, at least we don't know who our quarterback is, but we had some options. The Chargers had no options today. So if we were forced to play Wilson with that tight calf, and then we had to bring Bubby Brister in or whoever our third or fourth or fifth string quarterback is, we would have looked like the Chargers today. So put this as a team effort. Put this on Khan too. He won this game today because we're not them.
Certainly did with some of the off-season acquisitions. Patrick Queen made a big impact earlier on the Steelers defense as well in the first half with some big plays. And I want to talk about more about the Steelers defense and Herbig in particular, Nick Herbig here in a little bit. But before we get to that, we do have a comment. One Bird, we need to get the Logjammer card to Indianapolis next week. 1-0 with the Logjammer card. Thomas Franz checks in. How about that, man? You want to talk a little bit about that today? Oneberg had the Logjammer down at AccuShore Stadium for the tailgating.
Yes, the legendary ride from Kennywood that was replaced by the steel curtain. If you remember, Ed, you're a Mon Valley guy. You love Kennywood. The Logjammer's removed. It disappears. Well, Oneberg was happy to acquire the Logjammer out of retirement. It disappeared for such a long time. It came back. It saw the light of day today. We drove it around the stadium for about an hour. We had Pope Yinzer was in it. Tons of fans were in it. They're touching it. They're screaming at it. It was really, really cool. But now, what's that guy's name? Thomas Franz. Mr. Franz says, do we have something going here? Do we need the Logjammer in Indianapolis next week? I didn't really give any thought to that. Ed, your thoughts?
Hit I-70. Put the Logjammer on I-70 and just drive west, my friend. You'll run right into Indianapolis. About 5 hours. About 5 hours, and you'll be there. Go. I'll go with you.
Do you think anyone would pay for our hotel and our gas it would need to get the Logjammer there to drive it around Lucas Oil Stadium all night?
I think we could get a crowdfund in place for us to pay for that trip to go out there, don't you think? There's enough Yinzer fans out there.
Wonder if there's enough people in Indy that would, if you lived in Indianapolis or you're like a Midwestern Yinzer, Chicagoland area, of course, Indiana, even the great state of Illinois. I'm drawing a blank on the rest of the states to touch Indiana. But my point on this, my friend, is do you think they would say, yeah, we'll put a couple bucks in here, bring the Logjammer to Indianapolis? I don't think.
I think we could possibly try to make that happen. Hey, Brian Davis checks in. Indy is going to be another tough battle. Richardson has been balling out. That's the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. They just beat them Bears. Yeah, they just beat the Bears a little bit ago. And I do have some other scores for you, man. I got to tell you, my son Brendan has a score sheet here, and he just handed me this.
Oh, look at that.
Take a look at this. These are all finals. He wants to help us with our post-game show. Brendan Troop checking in. There's your finals.
And here's the thing. I feel like I'm on, you know what? The writing on it is so professional. I feel like I'm on CBS right now, and it's coming up on the screen for me. It's beautiful. But your son, Brendan, has this now officially, just like our commenter, Michael Cowden said, has done more research for this show than I have.
He has. Thank you, Brendan Boo, for the final score update.
He's great. Isn't he great?
He's a big NFL guy, man. He loves his football.
Well, what were the scores? So the Bears lost to the Colts today. The Colts got their first win.
Let's bring it back up.
Yeah.
Broncos won. They beat the Buccaneers.
I love this.
The Eagles beat the Saints. The Saints are no longer unbeaten. Vikings won. They're still unbeaten like us.
Mm-hmm.
Packers won. They beat the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Giants
beat the Titans now. They haven't won a game yet, right? They are 0-3.
Yep. And the Giants beat the Browns, which means the Steelers now take a 2-game lead over the Browns.
Hey, just to answer your question, Mr. Franz, who said bring the Logjammer to Indy, I don't think so. And by the way, you know it, and even though you said you would, you'd never come with me on that drive. On Friday, you'd send me a message where you go, man, I just can't make it work, and I just got a couple things going on. I got to mow the grass. I have to trim some shrubs, and I'd be like, I'm driving alone.
There's no grass to be cut, man. I would make that trip to Indy if we could get tickets for it, man. It'd be fun.
Wait a second. You just added something there. It was interesting. First of all, Brian, the word is losing. That's loosing. Loosing. I know Ed doesn't have his spell checker on. Losing. Hang on a second. We have some scores. Oh, an update. The Colts have beat the Bears 21-16.
How about that?
Whoa. Thank you, Brendan, with some late scores. I think we'd be sued if we start putting like the NFL logo on our show. So this
I
is
think
perfect.
I think this works well. The Brendan Troop scoreboard.
What's the bottom say? Games that are finished.
Yeah,
Bring that
look,
back up one more time.
look, games.
Oh, yeah, games that finished. Oh, this is awesome. This is great.
He even put the win and loss for you so you could read it easily.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's very announcer friendly. He's very good.
So let's talk Steelers defense for a little bit, my friend. Alex Highsmith goes down with a groin injury towards the end of the first half, so he's out for the second half. So we finally get to see Nick Herbig, who had a fantastic camp the last 2 years, comes in at the outside linebacker position, makes an instant impact, big sack on the Chargers' second half drive. He knocks the ball loose out of Herbert's hands. Of course, the Chargers recover, but then they have to punt. Fields on the next drive at the Chargers 42 throws an interception, a bad pass into coverage, but then they knock him out on the next drive. Herbert's knocked out in the third after a sack, and once again, it was Herbig with the big pressure, the sack. Taylor Heineke comes in as the backup quarterback, but Nick Herbig, huge day today, 2 sacks, quarterback pressure, all in the second half. I don't want to say Alex Highsmith because Highsmith has a big contract.
Easy.
Been a big part of that defense, but I'd almost rather see Watt and Herbig with Highsmith rotating in rather than what it is with Highsmith and Watt and Herbig rotating in. You think Pittsburgh has a quarterback controversy. I say they have an outside linebacker controversy opposite of TJ Watt.
Well, wait a second. I don't know about that, right? I mean, Highsmith is still our guy, don't you think? Are you basing it just on this one game?
No.
Okay, give me some more give me some more research on this. I gotta open the window. I'm sweating through my clothes.
Well, you got that hoodie on. It's 90 degrees outside. You're in hoodies and a jean. Listen, I like Alex Highsmith. He's a big impact player opposite side of TJ Watt. I just think Nick Herbig brings just another level of excitement, speed off that edge. You saw it today in the second half, more effective. I think they need to give him more looks. Maybe he's not the starter right away, but I'm going to say this right now. I think Nick Herbig will be starting opposite side of TJ Watt by the end of this season.
Well, we've given Highsmith all this money. What do you want to do with him then? See if the Dolphins want him?
No, he's rotating in. He's right now. Herbig rotates in as that third linebacker, right?
Okay.
I think you flip that script and Highsmith becomes your rotating quarterback.
All right, let's see what CJ Shore says.
CJ says 3 games in and the knob's slowly starting to turn. We're soon to see if it's the right key. I like that analogy. That's good. Things are starting to develop. Wait,
what was the analogy there? That we are a door and the Steelers are a door handle and Fields is a key that we think may fit?
Yep, things are starting to develop. Once we see this team against a tougher opponent, we'll know for sure if that door opens to the future of what the Steelers are developing towards or still working to open the door. Let's talk about the angry runs of Harris. Wow. Yeah, CJ, we just talked about it. They only had 14 yards rushing in the first half, but in the second half, they turned it on. Harris, a big part of that. He finishes the game with 70 yards rushing, 114 total for the black and gold today. But again, most of that coming in the second half.
Where's CJ at in that picture? Is that like a 30th birthday party? He's got some balloons behind him. It looks like a pretty girl next to him. I see a band of some braids coming down. Looks cute. He looks like a good looking guy. Look, here's the thing I wanted to mention. I love that our viewers now know that we can't start telling these games because like somehow we'll get sued if we show a TV. And now Crosby wants us to know Seattle's 10 up over Miami. Thank you, Wesley. Appreciate that. Now, wait, go back quickly to Wesley for a second. There's a lot happening. I'm trying to catch up. There's someone giving him a kiss. He looks like he's like a Tony Soprano type shirt. He looks like you with that bald head.
He does, yeah. That might be my twin out there. Wesley.
Oh, wait a second. Wait, look next to him and his girlfriend. That's Michael Jackson.
Is that Michael Jackson?
Yeah, with the hat.
Look, that's his wedding shower is the pic. See?
Oh, that's his wedding shower.
Oh, wait a minute. No, we're talking 2 different. Wait a minute. That's CJ checking in. What
was Michael Jackson doing at CJ's wedding?
No. CJ's that's the wedding shower. We're talking about Wesley.
With the balloons.
Wesley is the one who has Michael Jackson. That's not Michael Jackson, is it? I can't see on my screen.
First of all, that is Michael Jackson, the great one. I think Wesley and his girl went to see the Michael Jackson. So real quickly back to CJ. Hey, dude, if that's your wedding shower, nice hat. I'm glad to see you got dressed up. I'm glad to see you got dressed up for the wedding shower. Shades and the hat.
Well, maybe it was before the wedding shower. I'm going to say it was before the wedding shower.
She's a lucky woman. That's all I want to say.
Hey, look at this. Wesley now confirms that was in Vegas. There you go.
Dude, I saw Wesley. I saw that show. Michael Jackson. It's a Cirque du Soleil. Ed, you'll love this. In the middle of the show, all the real dancers, they're doing all the Cirque du Soleil stuff, right? All of a sudden, the hologram Michael Jackson appears, and honestly, man, he's alive. Michael is there. It's as real as day.
Now, see, CJ comes back and says it was a casual park setting. So
that's your wife's words.
Don't you feel like
that's your wife's words? That's not your words, my friend. You read that from the invite. No guy says it's just a casual park setting.
Brian checks it again, and we talked about this earlier, Brian, too. Yeah, Patterson made some big, strong runs to put the nail in the coffin of the Chargers. Nice to see him contribute. And Austin with a big play. Yeah, how about Austin? 55 yards, the second longest touchdown pass of Justin Fields' career. 55 yards with 7:02 left. They put the Steelers up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Great pass by Justin Fields. Again, he goes for 245 today. But, phenomenal job there, my friend.
He did look great. Can I go back to not these people's pictures, but can I go back quickly to Najee Harris? And I wanted to get your opinion because your opinion matters. This guy is a different player this year than last. Every time I feel like Harris gets the ball this year, he's running for money because he didn't get that contract. He wants every yard he can get. He wants to show that he's motivated. In fact, Tony Romo, the great one that I mentioned earlier, said something really silly at the end of that game where he thought Harris held up to not get that touchdown. Dude, we were watching a different game because that guy's legs were pumping. He wanted that touchdown bad.
Yeah, he was going towards the end zone. He gets hit at the one, they can nail it down. It's one of those things where that's the right call from a coaching standpoint. But there's a lot of coaches out there, especially in college, that would punch that in. Oh, it's point differential, right? We got to score as many points as we can. Yeah. I can tell you one thing: fantasy owners out there that have Najee Harris, me being one of them, was not happy that they didn't.
But Harris, we agree, right? Harris wanted that touchdown in the worst way. He would have gone in.
I think so.
He wants that money, man. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. For better or for worse, we didn't give him that money. This is great. I think that a motivated Najee Harris in any possible role in this team is a good thing.
So TJ Watt today, another sack, 99.5 career sacks now on a big 3rd and 5 at midfield with 9:45 left in the fourth quarter. Watt comes through with the big quarterback sack. TJ Watt, man, we talk about it every single week, and it's kind of like beating a dead horse, right? He comes through, makes a big play in the second half, whether it's a quarterback pressure or another sack. But he needs a half a sack. That's going to happen possibly next week. In the first half. Maybe in the first half, who knows? He only needs a half a sack to get to 100. He'll become the second player in NFL history to reach 100 sacks as fast as he has with games played. Which is just an incredible statistic. Reggie White is number one. Reggie White got to 100 sacks quicker than TJ Watt will here within the next game.
He's within grabbing distance. The only person who's grabbed more sacks is your mom.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
Hey, show Kristen for a second. I just want to go back to Harris again. I think I've made my first only good point on this. Kristen just said that Harris got out of his head this year and he's reacting instead of thinking about how to react. That, by the way, I've always wondered. Kristen comments a lot on Oneberg. I always wonder what horizon is she looking at. It's absolutely stunning, that horizon. But listen, Ed, I disagree with Kristen. However you think he's playing is fine, but this dude's playing for dollar bills. So I don't know. I don't want to say I think he's more in his head than ever because he's got to remind himself, get these extra yards. So whatever agent was in his ear worked. It was smart.
No doubt, man. He's playing in a contract year, and there's a good chance he won't be back in a Steeler uniform next year either way, whether he has a phenomenal year or not. If he has a mediocre year, then I can maybe see them re-signing him and bringing him back. But if he has a big year, he'll get big money elsewhere. That's just the way it works with a running back when he goes into his second contract with an NFL team. Now, Kristen says it's Cooper's Rock.
I've been there. That's beautiful. I'd like to go with Kristen next time she goes. What's Wesley saying?
What do we think about all going in on Fields and trading Wilson for a pick or something to a team like Miami? That was the hot rumor this past week that Wesley was talking about, that all of a sudden we want to trade Russell Wilson. Wesley, it's very tempting, so you get something in return, but a couple thoughts on that. The Steelers are barely paying him anything.
Well, he's basically is a volunteer to be here.
Exactly. Denver's paying the majority of his contract, which could make him attractive to be traded. But you need him because if Fields goes down with an injury, you're going to need Russell Wilson to step in and become the Steelers starter at that quarterback position. I don't think you want to rely on Kyle Allen as your backup quarterback to come into the game in case Justin Fields goes down. So
Right.
no, I think you keep Russell Wilson as a security blanket, and you have to go to him. Especially, one thing about Justin Fields in his career in Chicago was he'd get on a good streak, a few good games, and then all of a sudden would check out. So, it's something to keep in mind, too, that even though Fields is great through these first 3 games, not turning the ball over, had a strong game today, he could still self-destruct at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chicago fans waiting for that moment to happen. I see that Brian just said that Russell Wilson has a no-trade clause. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe he texted Omar and asked him while he's listening to the show. But, Kristen wants to go on vacation with us. That would be fun. But here's the thing on Fields, and there's a lot of fans in Chicagoland that hate Fields. Romo also made a comment today, or was it the great one, Jim Nance, who said that was like Fields' second longest throw of his career. There's a lot of people in Chicago who were like, yeah, enjoy that, guys. You're only 3 in. Let's see what happens when you play someone for real, or see like what the real field comes out. What's CJ say? What upcoming game is going to be the game where we see what we really have?
Well,
what does that even mean? What does that question even mean from CJ?
Well, I think when you take a look at I think today was a big test. I mean, we talked about it last week. The Falcons and Broncos, though, 2 teams that haven't looked bad the last 2 weeks. The Falcons win on Monday Night Football last week against the Eagles. And then today, as Brendan Troop updated us on,
let's go to the scoreboard.
The Broncos went on the road. Here, hold on. Let me get it. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going the opposite way. Down. Look, wait.
No, you're good.
Our graphics department is not good. There we go. Wait a minute. Where is it? There it is. There it is.
Yes. Broncos, Buccaneers. 26-7. Broncos are your winners.
And that's on the road. That was at Tampa Bay. Denver went in there and won. So all of a sudden, those first 2 games don't look as cakewalks as they were for the Steelers, winning on the road. And then they beat a Chargers team that came in today as the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. And as we said, J.K. Dobbins, the top rusher, and they shut them down today. Only 62 yards rushing for a team for the Chargers today. They're at the Colts next week. Colts got a big win today, as we just talked about. But then after that, you come home against the Cowboys and you go to the Raiders. So I think,
Wait, who do we play next week?
At Indianapolis.
Oh, that's right.
They want to
take the log jammer. That's right. Well, that'll be a test, right? I mean, Indy's no pushover. It's still so early, you just don't know what any team, except, I mean, of course, you have your elite, but, we're kind of in this jabroni column, right? We're kind of middle of the road. Who knows if we go up or down, and we could catch fire. We're in a good way, 3-0, but yeah, next week to answer CJ's question, I think he asked it to you, Ed, because you are the brains of the show, but I'll jump in. I'm sitting here. I think that we have a big test next week.
Brian says to Wesley Crosby, both contracts will end. Wilson has a no-trade clause. I was not aware that Wilson has a no-trade clause.
What are we doing here? Are there 2 shows going on? Brian and Ed are talking to each other, and Brian and Wesley, there's like 2 shows, and we're reporting what Brian and Wesley are talking about. Like, what happened here? Is there even a producer of this show? And is the producer of Brian and Ed, or Brian and Wesley?
I think Brian and Wesley have taken over our Shenderovich and Fishman Steeler postgame show. Steelers win 20-10 today. They go to 3-0 on the season. You are watching and listening to the postgame show here on One Bird. Brian Davis says Steelers will draft a quarterback. It's true about the no trade clause. And then Brian Davis laughing at you.
No, wait a second. You just read that like it was Adam Schefter. We don't know that the Steelers will draft a quarterback. Do you think he will, Ed?
Well, I'm
not talking about Brian Davis drafting one. I meant the Steelers.
Here's the interesting thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I said it during training camp. They had an opportunity after they acquired Fields over the summer to pick up his option on his contract, and they decided not to do that. Therefore, Justin Fields becomes a free agent after this season. So you're talking about Najee Harris playing for a contract. Technically, Justin Fields is also playing for a contract, whether it's here or somewhere else. So, I think it puts the Steelers in an interesting predicament. If Fields has a great year, leads them to the playoffs, leads them to a playoff victory, they're going to be pigeonholed and forced to give him big money in the offseason and sign him to a big contract to keep him here. Or as Brian Davis said, they go out and draft. But I don't think they want to do that. You don't want to go through the Kenny Pickett process as you did a couple years ago all over again. If you have a young guy like Fields that's capable of being your quarterback for the next 3 or 4, maybe even 5 seasons, you re-sign him, you bring him back, and you build around him.
First of all, I want you to quit referring to Brian Davis as one of your sources.
I didn't say that.
Talking about. He's a guy in jeans and shit kicker boots swimming.
I did not refer to him as.
You did. He's your Adam Schefter.
Hey, listen, Kathy says teams that start 3-0 in the NFL have a 75% chance of making the playoffs. We talked to Del Lawley last week about that on the podcast, how those percentages go up with those great starts. Brian Davis, look, see, he is my source. Great point. See, he agrees.
Go back to Kathy for a second. She's right on this, and this is something that I brought up because I do bring up a lot of good points on this show off the cuff. A lot of people call me the king of off the cuff.
The king of off the cuff.
Thank you. And Brian Davis called me that once. And let me say, she's right about this because forget about the statistical chances. But if you are Tennessee, and it's September 22nd, for Tennessee now starting 0-3, for them to get back to even, it's almost going to be Halloween. Their season is on the brink of death because they just can't play this catch up. Now, there's a lot of games, of course, but you see why Kathy, the odds maker, will come out and say 75% chance. It makes complete sense. We're not in the hole. We are not digging ourselves the hole. Now, wait a second. Kathy has another stat. Teams under Mike. All right, first of all, Kathy, our coach's name is Mike Tomlin. You have the Steeler logo as your profile picture. It's Tomlin.
I think Kathy, that was a typo, my friend. She probably typed in Tomlin. Maybe she has a friend with the last name Tomlinson, so she's typing it in. It auto corrected.
Oh, wait a second.
She does not. Kathy knows that it's Mike Tomlin. It's not LaDainian Tomlinson, who was a running back for the Chargers, by the way. Back then. How about that?
Kathy Kapanos Barrett, our statistical analyst here, has more than enough time to look what she's writing and typing. She thinks our coach's name is Mike Tomlinson. It's fine.
Listen.
Wait, hold on. She just said, cut me slack. I'm driving. Kathy, statistically speaking, there's 90% chance of accidents if you type and drive.
Yes, Kathy. Please be safe. Please be safe.
Wait, now go back to Kathy about Tomlinson. And I'm going to say Tomlin because Ed's a nice guy and we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, teams under Mike Tomlinson said start 3-0 historically have made the playoffs 100% of the time. One won the Super Bowl 33%. Kathy, you lost me. Ed, do you agree with any of this? What is she talking about?
The Steelers, not only the Steelers, but when any NFL team gets off to a 2-0 or 3-0 start, yes, their odds increase. We have a family poll with me and my in-laws here before the season started on how many total wins they would have. My father-in-law said 5. I said 10. And then everyone else was in between, right? 6.
Oh, this puts your wife in a really tough predicament. The dad who raised her, taught her everything she knows, versus the man she loves, spends a bed with. Who will she side with? Is it 10 wins with the lover or 5 wins with the father?
I think she picked like 7, so she was in between. But here's my stat.
Who proposed this? Who brought this up that the in-laws, who made this idea where like you and the in-laws were going to do all these stats together? Was it your idea?
Yes, because when my father-in-law, when he was over on Labor Day, he said how bad the Steelers are going to be this year. They're only going to win 5 games. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I have them at 10. So then we went back and forth, and then everybody else chimed in, and everyone else had them 6, 7 wins, 8 wins. So I said, let's put it up. Let's do a text. We put a text together. Everybody locked in their number. So I, right before we came on the post-game show, sent a text and said, hey, look at that. 3 wins. I need 7 more, and there's 14 games left, which means that the Steelers go 7-7 in their last 14 games, the next 14 games. NFL season is still very young. They will get to 10 wins on the season, and that, my friend, is a winner.
Oh, you love that. Now, see, your worst nightmare would be like if they do win 5, and then your father-in-law would go, it's okay, Ed. Not everybody gets it right. You'll lose. concerned.
Exactly. Steelers a big winner today, as we said. They will travel to Indianapolis next week to take on the Colts at 1:00. Again, that should be a very good game for the Steelers as well. Another good test on the road. They're going to try to get to 4-0 next week at Indianapolis. That means they would have won possibly 3 out of their first 4 games on the road. Wow. As well to start a season. And that's another big statistical advantage as well when you start looking at that. But, good game today for the Steelers, man. How about one last note as I'm looking for my notes here? How about the Chargers? 3 costly penalties on the drive that the Steelers benefit. They kicked the field goal to take their first lead of the game, 13-10 with 14-14 left in the fourth quarter. The Chargers were hit with a late hit on Fields, an unsportsmanlike hit on Freiermuth, and then a defensive hold downfield. All 3 of those came on third down opportunities that they could have got off the field that kept the drives alive. The Steelers took advantage. They go up 13-10 with 14-14 left in the game and never looked back.
Well, look, there's a lot of problems with the Chargers right now. There's also a lot of problems with the Steelers. It's just perspective is out of whack right now, so we're excited, but there's a lot of things to work on. Here's the biggest problem. If you're Jim Harbaugh, you got to make sure Bosa's back, and you got to make sure Herbert's back. If those things are not going to be in your favor, you have some serious problems in your, return to the NFL. So I think that's all he's focusing on in the moment. And that game was off the rails, man. Again, like you said, that's like losing TJ and Justin in the same game. That is the same thing. So we wouldn't be nitpicking what happened. We'd just be talking about what these major issues are. And these are major. So I guess we'll see how Captain Comeback puts it all together.
Brian Davis checks in again. The Deontay Johnson trade for Dante Jackson has been paying off. 26 has been the shutdown in the passing game. Yeah, Jackson's been great opposite side of Joey Porter Jr. Got hurt today, but came back in. And Jackson's the guy, my friend. He has the dreads that stick out in the back of the helmet, number 26. So he's right. Fine on the field. But, yeah, he's another guy that they brought in to the trade of Deontay Johnson, who has not done much at all in Carolina so far these first few games. He's paying off. And Deshaun Elliott, another strong game as well. Speaking of Omar Khan winning the offseason, Deshaun Elliott comes over from the Cowboys, safety, opposite side of Minka Fitzpatrick. He continued to have a good game. And the Steelers cleaned that up. Early on, Justin Herbert was passing the ball a little bit on our secondary, moving the ball downfield, including that touchdown when they took the early 7-0 lead. But the Steelers made some adjustments, and those adjustments paid off throughout the game as they limited the passing to Herbert and obviously knock him out of the game late.
Well, look, like I want to say, a win is – because I said it last week, Ed, and I'll say it again this week. A win is a win is a win. And that's my quote. I say that all the time. A win is a win is a win. You know that. You've heard me say that all the time, right? And
great to see another wide receiver other than Pickens step up and have a good game. Wesley checks in. And, yeah, the Steelers leading receiver today was Calvin Austin, 4 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Pickens, 5 catches for 57 yards today. So, yes, it was good to see another quarterback come in and make another big play. Kathy checks in again as well. I said it last week, and I'll say it again this week. A win is a win is a win.
Wait a second. I said that last week. I just reminded you that I said that last week. A win is a win is a win, Brian Carruthers. Hey, Michael Ryan is here, Ed. And he says, Dose Fields know the football field is just as deep as it is wide. I believe he means the word does at the front. I thought there was I didn't know where he was going with that. Does Fields know the football field is just as deep as it is wide? What's that critique, Ed? You feel like he's not going wide enough? He's just looking straight down the middle? Is that what Michael's saying?
I guess maybe with trying to make plays with his legs as well. I just kind of ran up the middle today, not running side to side to try to get to the outside is my guess. Brian Davis continues to talk with Wesley Crosby. Absolutely, Wes takes pressure off of 14. How about that? Now you got Brian and Wesley working together back and forth on the One-Berg comment window here.
Well, as Yinzer-in-Chief of One-Berg, I'm prepared to give Wesley and Brian their own show.
I think the Wesley and how about the Wesley and Brian postgame show brought to you by Shenderovich and Fishman. Hey, a couple more stats as we finish things up. The Steelers limit Herbert today to 125 yards passing. J.K. Dobbins.
When did they pull Herbert?
They pulled him in the third quarter, about midway through the third quarter when Herbig and Hayward collapsed on him. Herbert Hayward got onto his leg. And Herbert didn't practice much all week. In fact, up until even as early as yesterday, he was not going to play this football game. But he was a go.
High ankle sprain.
Yep, came out, warmed up, and they said he was good enough to go. And early on, he looked good, very effective throwing the ball downfield and on that Steelers secondary. But
he may have beat us if he stayed in. If he had another full quarter and a half, he probably could have beat us.
Herbert's a good quarterback, man. He is a good quarterback. He reminds me a lot of Josh Allen with Buffalo. The Steelers, 20 first downs today to 10 for the Chargers. Total yards, 346 for the black and gold, 168 for the LA Chargers. So Arthur Smith passing the test through 3 games. Remember that statistic where the Steeler offense couldn't get over 300 yards ever? Well, now they've done it a couple of times so far this year, 346 yards today. And as we said, penalties key in this game. 7 for 69 for the Chargers, only 3 of 15 for the Steelers. And time of possession, Steelers win that battle today. 33 minutes, 51 seconds to 26 minutes and 9 for the Chargers. And those are statistics that I keep reading off every week. Week 1 against the Falcons, last week against the Broncos, and today versus the Chargers. All those categories, the Steelers have won. And it's a recipe for victory in the NFL, and it has been so far the first 3 weeks.
Did we just get an update from Brian Davis? He's related to Wesley Crosby. I wasn't listening to what you were saying there, Ed, but is he Wesley Crosby's uncle?
I would be honest. Wesley Crosby, Sydney's uncle.
Guys, next week, we got to write in complete sentences. It hurts the hosts that want to read your comments if we have no idea what you're saying. This isn't a call-in show. I couldn't even imagine what you're like, how you sound speaking. We have to work on grammar, punctuation, and complete thoughts. Ed, do you agree with me? Do you feel like it's kind of derailing the show where we have to kind of interpret what the fans are saying?
No, he's talking about Sid the Kid. Sidney Crosby being a relation to Wesley Crosby. Now we're into hockey talk.
Now there's bits on top of bits. Yeah. Wesley Crosby might be Sidney Crosby's uncle. Guys, we're going to take this week. Look, we have a game against Indy. We're going to take the rest of this week to really reflect. We have a special guest now, but to reflect on punctuation, grammar. Let's not do these inside jokes. They're not that good. All right, let's bring in a very special guest, Ed's son, Brendan. Hi, Brendan.
I was just watching the Ravens and Cowboys game.
Yeah.
The Ravens defense holding the Cowboys really good. And Brandon Aubrey's 65-yard field goal is good.
So what's the
score?
7-3 Ravens.
Ravens beating the Cowboys at Dallas. Oh, we don't like that, Brendan.
Keep us posted on that, Brendan. Thank you.
Look, Brendan Troop making his Steeler post-game show debut.
I love it. Hey, Brendan, how tall are you now? You look like you're huge. 6 foot now?
4'8".
4'8". Wow. Good.
That's Tell me you made a couple tackles in your game yesterday. Yeah. Good job.
You talk a lot of trash when you make those tackles. You get up and you look at them and go have your mom make you dinner, boy.
Not as much.
Right. Yeah. No. Hey, Wesley Crosby just said, thanks for the update, young man. That's from the great Wesley Crosby, Sidney Crosby's uncle.
Look at this. Brendan, you got a fan club. Good job. High five.
Christian Bergman said Brendan #1. It's hard to argue, man. Well, what a cute kid. And I want to let everybody know we're not paying him for those updates. Is it an internship or slave labor? I don't know. Whatever it is, we appreciate those updates.
Games that have fit. There's your CBS logo. Hey,
by the way, let's work on this because for next week's post-game show, we need to get like studio shots of me and you in suits, and then Brendan as our sideline reporter. The way they have like Tracy, what's her name, on the sidelines. Like, we got to add Brendan's name to this. Although our names aren't even on here. It's just Shenderovich, and Fishman. There's Ellen. Hey, can I say a quick shout out to Ellen?
Please do.
Let me say that this Ellen, guys, Sidney Crosby's listening and Brian Davis and Chris and Ellen, 2 things. One, her and I share a love for the late, great Harry Anderson. You remember him from Night Court, right?
Of course.
the great one. She got to meet him, ran a fan club, the greatest. Great conversation, and it's fantastic. But I want to congratulate her. She runs a Twitter page called Pittsburgh Hills, and she was voted best of Pittsburgh. I don't know, was it influencer or was it best Facebook or TikTok page? But her videos about Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas, fantastic. I love them. And so congratulations to you, Ellen. And I can't wait to finally meet you. And, she has some of Harry Anderson's clothes. Hang on a second. Can I share something for a minute? You got to say.
Please. Well, we got all kind of guest things here on the Shenderovich and Fishman Steeler postgame show. Steelers defeat the Chargers 20-10 to go to 3-0 on the season. Brian now checks in. We had Brendan Troop on just a few minutes ago. And now here we go.
Yeah. So listen, in my office where we're broadcasting right here, Ellen's going to like this. Check this out. This is a drawn photo of the great Harry the Hat, Harry Anderson, on the Mount Rushmore of comedians for me. And then Ellen will know this background here. That's the window from Cheers, because Harry got his start as Harry the Hat when he would appear and do like con games on Cheers. So he's in my office overlooking everything that we do here on Oneberg. So again, enough about Harry Anderson. I could talk about Harry all day. Congratulations, Ellen.
Well, hey, let me ask you a question. Congratulations to Ellen. That's great. Very cool stuff. And I was a big Night Court fan too, man, back in the day. I loved Night Court. I didn't like
the song. You know the song?
Do 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 do.
It looks like Brian Davis just said, "You look like Bull."
Who, me?
Yeah, Brian Davis just said, "Is that Bull?" I follow. No, wait a second. Two things. Ed does look like Bull from Night Court because he has the bald head. But then he said he follows Pittsburgh Hills, and she just showed some steps the other day. Yeah, her videos are dude. Ed, you'd love Ellen's videos. She does a great job.
I'm gonna check it out. We can give Ellen a follow after the show here today.
Yeah.
But I do have a question for you before we wrap it up, and we do need to wrap it up. We're running up against the clock here. The clock that doesn't matter because Oneberg, we can stay on.
What clock are we on?
This is like Howard Stern on Sirius XM. We have no time limit, no traditional radio for us. We can go as long or as short as we want, which is a beautiful thing. Do you know CBS tonight? Do you know there's a show debuting called Matlock with Kathy Bates? Were you aware of that? Because I wasn't aware of that.
Well, listen, I posted on Oneberg today the over-under. How many episodes of Matlock do you think will air? And I put out 4. Here's my issue with Matlock good, and here's my issue with Matlock bad. One, and this is just based on the trailer that I saw 25,000 times during the last 2 Steeler games. One, is Kathy Bates Matlock? Is she Ben Matlock, the Andy Griffith character? Because she's talking about Matlock, or is she just an older woman lawyer whose last name happens to be Matlock, and she'll and just makes comments like, "Oh, have you watched Matlock? That's me." What do you make on that, Ed? Is she Matlock, or is she just like it's an homage, it's a honor to Matlock?
Yeah, I thought the same thing too, man. I was thinking to myself, I see my videos all distorted. I tried going off and coming back on. I don't know if you're seeing that on your end, but
you look great.
Something's going on in my video. Maybe there it goes. Maybe it was just on my computer screen here. But yeah, is Kathy? I mean, they showed that promo for the last 3 weeks, like every single football game. Today, I swear it was on every other commercial. There's 3 commercials that are constantly on: Matlock, Kamala Harris for Kamala Harris, or Donald Trump against Kamala Harris. But it's always Kamala Harris talking either way, whether it's on one side or the other. It's always her voice. So it doesn't matter whether you're against her or for, it's her voice. And then it's Matlock. And then
it's very difficult to even know what commercial is for Kamala and which is not.
I don't know. All I hear is her voice in the background all the time, constantly talking. So, and we don't want to get political on here. We never do. So I'm not. I gave you both views, right? For and against. So we're good.
Here's all I know.
We're good.
Here's all I know, and I'm one of the dumber guys you meet. Kamala Harris worked at McDonald's. Okay, I mean, everyone knows that now, right? We've heard this enough that Kamala Harris has worked at McDonald's. And I don't know if it's true or not, because I don't know if the commercial is for Harris or not for Harris, but I do know we're awfully proud of Bidenomics.
That's right.
I don't know, because That might be like, in political ads, they go black and white and they like enlarge it to make you look weird. I don't know if that's real or not, but I do know this. We are only 40 some days from the election. If I never see a Donald Trump or Kamala Harris ad again ever, I'll be okay.
Seriously, both of them need to both ads need to go, and so does the Matlock promo too. Please let that one go off into the distance with
Here's the problem though. I'm thinking about on election day, I may vote for Matlock. I mean, that's how crazy it's not.
Right in.
I might write in Matlock. Kathy Bates, aka Matlock.
Matlock. On that note, my friend, we will wrap it up for this week for the Steeler.
Hey, 1 second. Kristen Bergman just said she thinks Bates is Matlock, but now she's questioning it. Kristen, come over tonight. We're going to watch Matlock.
Brendan Troop has another update before we go off the air. Go ahead.
Oh, great.
Let me see.
I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but Nelson Aguilar,
the wide receiver
for the Baltimore Ravens, caught a ball and it was supposed to be a 7-yard reception, but the Cowboys kept on just missing tackles and he was juking. So he dragged all the way down the field and Derrick Henry rushes in for a touchdown.
Now it's 14-3.
Yeah.
That's not good news for us.
How bad's Dallas? Dallas gets beat last week, and now they're trailing to the Ravens. At home. That game's at Dallas.
My favorite part of that, my favorite part of that was that you wouldn't let him on camera anymore. Is that contractual? Is that contractual now that you won't let? Well, there he is. Hi, Brendan. Ravens 14, Dallas 3.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, hey, thanks for here, buddy.
Wesley says Boo. Does he know that that's Brendan's nickname, Brendan Boo, or is he just saying Boo because of the Cowboys? But Wesley, this guy right here, Brendan, his nickname is Boo. Brendan Boo.
And look, Kristen just said, best commentator ever. He needs Brady's job. A lot of people are saying you should replace Tom Brady. Brendan?
I would do that if I get paid.
If he got paid.
Well, you could get Brady's salary. I think Brady made like $20 million to be on there. So we'll give you $5 million. Is that okay? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Hey, by the way, eat a burger tonight. You look like you weigh about 25 pounds. Let's eat.
My man does need to put some weight on. I'm with you.
How much do you weigh right now?
Like 73.
4'8" and 73 pounds. That sounds like a lot.
Fifth grade.
Oh, I love it.
All right, buddy.
Hey, Wesley just said that he was booing the Ravens. But you know what? Here's the problem. Wesley wrote boo, B-O-O. Everybody knows when you boo someone when you're typing it, you put like 100 O's. Right, Brendan?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what's he mad about? I don't know. Listen, guys, thank you, Brendan.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye,
There
buddy.
he goes.
There he goes. Boy, what a handsome guy.
He is the Tony Romo of the Steelers, Shenderovich, and Fishman postgame show on One Bird.
He's kind of like Fishman. If we're
that's
the
you and me, we could be the twins. If I grow a beard.
Here's you.
Yep.
There's me.
Yep.
There's Brendan.
And Brendan would be Fishman right in the middle. There you go.
Yeah. Hey, I'll meet these guys this week. We'll have some behind-the-scenes pictures and videos of us meeting Shenderovich, and Fishman. I heard Fishman has lost a lot of weight, so I'm excited to see him.
Awesome, man. We'll look forward to that coming up this week on One Bird. We'll also have the Three Rivers post-game show with Craig Wolfley from the Steelers Audio Network. Craig's coming back on the show this week to talk to us about Steeler football. That'll be exciting. We're going to try to get that done on Tuesday of this week.
Wow, Craig, listen look at how powerful we are. So we do this show, and then Craig Wolfley, the color man for radio from the actual Steelers, is going to come on and talk to us. We've made it.
And we're supposed to get the new play-by-play guy, our good friend Rob King, on with us next month in October as well. So he'll be coming on the program.
Can you imagine? What a world.
So we're
Can you imagine back in, let's just say 1982, right? That Myron Cope or Bill Hillgrove would ever humble themselves. It wasn't even the internet then, but humble themselves to go beyond the overall dumbest show they could find on the radio.
I agree.
That's amazing. We've done it. I hope Wesley comes back, and I hope Brian does too.
And we'll also have the WPIL Friday Night Lights pregame show from Whitfield High School Stadium on Friday night as well. This past we couldn't get it going because bad internet service in Central Valley and Beaver County, so we couldn't get the show connected. So we'll get back on track this week with that. And there's Harry Anderson. He's happy. Steeler Nation is happy. The Steelers a 20-10 win over the Los Angeles Chargers. The black and gold 3-0 on the season as they stay perfect with the big win at home. For Harry Anderson, Brendan Troop, Brian Carruthers, for Shandarovich, and Fishman, I am Ed Troop signing off for now. We will see you next week on the Steeler Postgame Show right here on OneBird, on our Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel, or listen to us live, all of our shows on our Spotify channel as well. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you soon.